Our next guest is the youngest self-made female billionaire, according to Forbes Magazine. At just 29 years old, Luana Lopes Lara dethroned Scale AI co-founder Lucy Guo, who had recently taken the title from Taylor Swift, and co-founded her startup Kalshi with MIT classmate Tarek Mansour in 2018. Kalshi is the first federally regulated exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. Users can buy yes or no contracts on a range of topics from, for example, who's going to win an election to who will be a bridesmaid at Taylor Swift's wedding. You can also trade on which team will become Super Bowl champions or who's going to be named Best New Artist at the Grammys. Kalshi has raised $1 billion in funding last year, valuing the company at $11 billion. Luana Lopes Lara joins us now. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And congratulations to all of your successes.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, so let me ask you this. You've argued that Kalshi is closer to a stock market than a gambling platform because it offers price discovery on real-world events. But unlike stocks, these contracts don't represent ownership, they don't represent cash flows or any kind of productive enterprise. They're basically purely paying out on an outcome. So when does that price discovery, I guess, become a semantic distinction rather than a meaningful economic one?
That is a great question. For us, the very important thing about financial markets in general is about, as you said, pricing the future in a better way, but also giving opportunity for people to make money on what they know and what their passions are. And there's a lot of different financial structures, right? Options, swaps, futures that operate in a lot of different ways. But for us, the important thing is to have better, unbiased information about the future and allow folks, like one of our biggest users is an Ariana Grande superfan. And he actually turned a passion for music and music charts to being able to pay back student loans, buy a car, put himself through a master's degree. It's just way more people know about a lot of different things than just picking stocks, and it's important to expand what people.
But why then shouldn't regulators view that as sophisticated wagering rather than an investment?
Well, because the fundamental structure of it is like a stock market. We don't actually make money when people lose. We are not incentivized to make people lose. We're not a house. We are just matching people with different opinions. So if someone thinks, one person will win the election and someone else thinks someone else will win the election, they're able to trade on that and we get better information and they can make money on what they know.
But is there concern if there's, you're not going to influence necessarily the presidential election, but if there's a local city council election, somebody who is placing a bet, right, that Vlad's going to win, I can go out and I can tell a lot of people to vote for Vlad. I could maybe pay people to vote for Vlad. Are you worried that people might do things illegally to influence the market or even morally wrong to influence the market?
For us, that's why when we started the company, the most important thing for us was building a safe and regulated platform. So it took 3 years before launching a single product, working with regulators in DC to build a platform that was going to be safe and not ripe for manipulation. And we launched the platform and we have a lot of different, from trade prohibitions to a lot of market surveillance. We know every single person trading on the platform and their activity. So it's a safe place, the same way the stock market is.
Yeah, but the stock market's not necessarily a safe place, right? There's insider trading in the stock market. How do you stop that from happening on your market?
Especially where there are areas where there are a small number of people who may have advanced non-public knowledge, court rulings, regulatory decisions, moves that are happening geopolitically, for example, with the removal of an announced dictator.
Right. To differentiate, what happened, for example, with Maduro, that happened in an offshore, unregulated platform. That would not happen on Kalshi because of our regulatory and safe, really, markets. And the important thing about the rules and how we actually enforce those rules, and they happen in a very similar way to the stock market. Of course, we can guarantee it's impossible for it to happen, but with the regulators and with DC, we're able to make sure it's a safe place for people to trade and be able to make money and capitalize on what they know.
NCAA President Charlie Baker is concerned about the integrity of the game, also the well-being of these student athletes, specifically when it comes to betting on whether these athletes jump into the portal. And in this portal window in the NCAA football, it was the most student athletes ever. Is Kalshi going to get into that space of allowing people to place wagers on athletes jumping into the portal to transfer?
Right. For us, in terms of every single league and every single sport or other markets, it's very important to have an open dialogue with everyone. We're all on the same side. We want to have a very safe platform where people can come, get information about the future and trade, and so do the leagues. They also want that. And with us, we're very excited about working with them collaboratively on that. Of course, there are markets that we don't offer. For example, war, terrorism, assassination markets you'll never find on Kalshi. But for us, it's about having an open dialogue with a lot of different stakeholders and finding out what's best for America.
You know, this is fascinating because we're all kind of touching on the same thing. I believe even though intentions may be pure, human nature is to meddle in things if they feel like they can change the outcome of it. So, you know, we talked about the portal. I have two sons that play college football.
Nice.
And I knew, I knew during the season that they were going to transfer. They weren't happy with the team, the coaches, and they wanted a new start. What would stop me in September from placing a wager in December that my two sons are going to jump in a portal knowing that I have that inside information?
Right. That would constitute market manipulation and trading on insider information. That's illegal. You could potentially go to jail. A lot of bad things would happen the exact same way it would happen if you have information about a Facebook or...
And you guys have regulations of someone that would report me.
Exactly. And we
in
have
place on Kalshi.
Exactly. We have every single... When you sign up to the platform, we know your name, we know your address, we know where you work, all of that information. We have a compliance team internally that runs investigations. And then, of course, every single trade on the platform is reported to regulators, and they can also investigate on their end and bring up whatever.
So, Luana, as you know, during a fast-moving crisis, for example, information is very fragmented. Rumors can move prices, and official confirmations of what has actually happened can take hours. So are you, and on Kalshi, those markets moves can be very dramatic, those swings. How do you prevent your platform from incentivizing, I guess, rumor-driven trading or even manipulation during emergencies when the difference between being informed and being reckless is kind of thin?
Right. It's a very important distinction to be made that having data about what's happening in real time is actually very important. So, for example, if you look at an election night, Kalshi and prediction markets are able to tell you what's happening a lot faster. So, for example, 2024 election, I think it took less than 1 hour after polls closed for us to see Trump really, really spiking in the markets. So you actually get access to way faster information, which is very, very, very good.
I think one of the most interesting things about this platform is all of the things you can bet on. Like you mentioned Ariana Grande, and it kind of democratizes a little bit like the markets, right? You don't have to be an expert in stocks to make money in this market. What's the craziest topic, some of them, that you've seen on Kalshi?
Wow, we have a lot of different ones. Some that are very, I really like pop culture, so I follow a lot of the Taylor Swift and, you know, Harry Styles now, his new album. I'm looking at all the markets on who's going to be a collaborator. Apparently, he's going to release a new song, according to the markets, 80% chance the next 2 weeks. So I really followed that side instead of looking at Instagram and what's going to happen.
Do you place bets yourself?
We can't. So part of being regulated is that any employee, like no employee can trade because of conflict of interest, of course. Yeah. But I'm like always looking at the data.
Well, the one bet that you placed on yourself paid out.
Congratulations on
amazing.
Your success.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Luana Lopes Lara. I said that correctly?
Yes, you did. That was perfect.
I like how you also slipped into the correct.
It's correct. You got to roll my R a little bit. Got real sexy right there.